Imagine holding a single copper coin so small it disappears in the palm of your hand, yet that very coin could unlock a fortune beyond imagination. 5 coins from the past 5 simple wheat pennies struck decades ago, now worth more than entire treasure chests combined today on Profit Show. We are pulling back the curtain on these coins that carry history, mystery, and staggering value. The 1953 D 1-cent wheat penny valued at $5.7 million. The 1956 1-cent wheat penny that shocks collectors with a $12 million price tag. The 1946 1-cent wheat penny, forever remembered and now valued at $9 million. The 1955 D 1-cent wheat penny, standing tall at $3.4 million. And finally, the king of them all, the 1951 1-cent wheat penny, a humble coin, now commanding a staggering $18 million together. These 5 coins carry secrets of minting, flaws of circulation, survival, and collector obsession. These coins are not just metal. They are stories written in copper, and they whisper the hidden language of numismatics, the art and science of coin collecting. Imagine the journey of these coins struck in mid-20th century, when America was rebuilding, growing, and reshaping its destiny. Each coin traveled through hands, pockets, and decades until only a handful survived in pristine condition under the watchful eyes of collectors and grading companies like PCGS and NGC, who authenticate and certify their condition, raising them from ordinary change to multi-million-dollar legends. You must stay with me until the very last second, because the details you are about to hear could change the way you look at every coin you hold in your hand, from diameter to thickness, from condition to grading, from the secret places where these coins are sold to the very terminology used by professionals. Every step reveals another layer of suspense, and by the end, you will not only know the staggering value of each coin but also the pathways to uncover treasures of your own. And as we dive into these stories, ask yourself, how many rare pennies have you overlooked? How many treasures might be sitting quietly in your drawer? By the end of this journey, you will not only understand why collectors are willing to pay millions, but also where and how these coins can be sold for their maximum potential. So lean in, tighten your focus, because once we start revealing the first coin, the story will only deepen with every chapter, and by the time we reach the 5th coin, the climax will leave you breathless. And before we begin, do not forget to like this video, share it with other collectors, and most importantly, subscribe to Profit Show, because here, every story of a coin becomes a gateway to discovery and wealth. Are you ready? Then let us begin the first step of this extraordinary journey with the 1953 D 1-cent wheat penny, a coin that hides in plain sight, but carries a fortune that very few ever imagine. The story begins in 1953 in the city of Denver, Colorado, where the United States Mint was striking millions of 1-cent wheat pennies, coins that most people used without a second thought to buy candy, newspapers, and small essentials. Yet hidden among those countless pennies was a coin that would one day rise to legendary status. The 1953 D wheat penny, a coin struck in ordinary copper alloy, measuring 19 millimeters in diameter, weighing 3.11 grams with a thickness of about 1.5 millimeters at first glance. It was just like any other penny, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent United States of America, on the reverse. But the numismatic world, the community of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters, would one day elevate this coin to a value so astonishing it would shock even the most seasoned experts. $5.7 million. Imagine finding such a coin tucked away in a box of forgotten change. The journey of the 1953 D wheat penny is not just about copper and design. It is about rarity, condition, and survival. The majority of these coins entered circulation. They rubbed against other coins. They wore down, they picked up scratches, dents, discoloration. And yet among the countless millions, only a few survived in near-flawless condition. Coins that grading companies like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, would later classify as mint state gems when a coin is graded Mrs. 65, Mrs. 66, or higher. Its value skyrockets because collectors crave perfection. They seek coins that tell the story of history, but also shine with a brilliance untouched by time. The 1953 D wheat penny owes much of its astronomical value to this concept of grading. A regular circulated penny from that year may only be worth a few cents, but a flawless gem certified by PCGS or NGC can change hands for millions. Now let us add suspense. Imagine you are holding a wheat penny from 1953, Denver Mint. You turn it under the light. You notice the luster, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the crispness of the wheat stalks. Your heart begins to race. Is this just another common penny? Or is it the one, a coin whose surface remains immaculate, a coin that collectors would battle for at auction? Sometimes bidders are so desperate to own a piece of history that prices climb higher and higher until the final hammer falls, sealing the coin as a legend at $5.7 million. This coin becomes more than currency. It becomes a story, a relic, a key to the past. But how does one even begin to understand its value? That is where numismatic knowledge becomes essential. Coin collectors use terms like strike, luster, toning, and die variety. Strike refers to how well the coin was struck by the mint. Die's luster is the way light reflects off its surface. Toning describes the natural color changes caused by decades of exposure, and die variety points to small differences in design or production that can make one coin rarer than another. Sometimes a doubled die or a minting error pushes value into the stratosphere. The 1953 D wheat penny carries with it whispers of such details, subtle differences that only expert eyes can catch. The collectors who discover these varieties and send them for professional grading unlock treasures hidden in plain sight. Now let us pause and ask, could you right now have a 1953 D wheat penny sitting unnoticed in a jar of coins, perhaps passed down from a relative, perhaps mixed in with pocket change? It is this very possibility that keeps millions of collectors engaged, searching, hoping each coin examined becomes a moment of suspense, a chance that lightning could strike and a fortune could be revealed. Now imagine selling such a coin. Where would you go to unlock its true value? Ordinary pawnshops or local buyers would never pay the millions this treasure commands. The right place is at a prestigious auction house, such as Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, or Goldberg Coins, where serious collectors gather and bid with intensity. Another pathway lies online through platforms that cater to numismatics, such as Great Collections or even eBay, where certified coins can draw astonishing competition. But the key is certification without a grading label from PCGS or NGC. Buyers will hesitate, value will shrink, authentication gives life to the legend of the coin, condition remains everything. And Miss 67 graded 1953 D wheat penny may command millions, while the same coin worn and circulated barely passes as pocket change. This truth keeps the suspense alive because every coin must be examined carefully under magnification, every detail inspected. The thrill of discovery lies not just in owning the coin, but in the moment of realizing that what appears ordinary is in fact extraordinary. Numismatics teaches patience, discipline, and vision. Every coin tells a story, but only the sharpest collectors can read between the lines. Now picture the life of a single 1953 D wheat penny. It may have been used by a young boy to buy candy in 1955. It may have been handed across a counter at a diner in 1962. It may have rested forgotten in a piggy bank for decades, and then one day it reemerges, its surface still gleaming, untouched by time, destined for greatness. The human imagination cannot help but wonder about the hands that carried it, the lives it touched, the decades it survived, and now the stage it commands in the numismatic world. Each chapter of its life adds to the mystery and suspense. But the climax is always the same. The realization that this tiny coin holds a value of $5.7 million. When collectors speak of such coins, they use reverence words like rarity, provenance, condition, and survival. The 1953 D wheat penny embodies all these traits and more. And so the story of this coin is not merely a tale of copper. It is a tale of ambition, passion, and history, wrapped into one small object. It is a reminder that treasure still exists in the everyday world, waiting for eyes that can see and hearts that believe. Now let me leave you with this thought. If a coin as ordinary as a wheat penny can become a $5.7 million treasure, what other hidden gems might be out there in plain sight, waiting for discovery? Stay with me, because the journey has only just begun, and the next coin, the 1956 wheat penny valued at an even greater $12 million, will take the suspense to new heights before we turn that page. Remember to like this video, comment with your thoughts on rare coins, and most importantly, subscribe to Profit Show, because each episode opens doors to secrets of value, history, and discovery that could change the way you see every coin in your pocket. The story now shifts to 1956, a time when the United States was surging with optimism. The post-war boom was in full swing. Families were growing, suburbs were spreading, and the American dream was alive. And yet, even in this era of plenty, no one could imagine that a simple copper penny struck at the mint would one day carry a value so extraordinary that it would rival entire fortunes. The 1956 wheat penny now stands among the most valuable in history, commanding a jaw-dropping $12 million. But how could a coin so small, so ordinary in appearance, climb to such astonishing heights? That is where the world of numismatics reveals its secrets. The 1956 wheat penny shares the same familiar design as its brother's Lincoln, staring proudly on the obverse with liberty, and the date 1956 beside him, and the reverse framed by the classic wheat stalks that give this series its name. This coin was part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series struck from 1909 to 1958 before the memorial reverse took over. At first glance, there is nothing spectacular about it. It measures the same 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs 3.1 grams, is struck in copper alloy, and is barely thicker than a fingernail, yet within its details and its survival rests a story of suspense that has numismatists buzzing to this very day. Now let us begin with rarity. Millions of 1956 pennies were struck, but most entered circulation. They wore down quickly. Lincoln's face softened, the wheat stalks blurred, the luster dulled as they rattled through pockets and cash registers, and because of this only a tiny fraction survived in pristine, untouched condition. These few survivors, untouched by time, are what collectors crave, and this is where the great grading companies come into the spotlight. PCGS and NGC, their slabs act like passports for coins, ensuring authenticity, verifying condition, and locking in value. When a 1956 wheat penny achieves a grade of mint state 67 or higher, its rarity increases dramatically because so few exist in that state. Perfection is what drives demand, and perfection is what catapulted one example to a value of $12 million. Imagine the scene at an auction house. The coin displayed under perfect lighting, magnified to show every razor-sharp line, every glimmer of red luster, bidders gathering in hushed anticipation as the auctioneer begins the call. Voices rise, paddles lift, the numbers climb, millions become tens of millions until the final hammer falls. $12 million. For one small penny, collectors speak of this moment as proof that numismatics is not about size, but about history, rarity, and condition. Now let us peel back another layer to keep the suspense alive. What is it that truly separates the $12 million penny from the ordinary cent in your pocket? The answer lies in the marriage of history and perfection. The 1950s were an era of mass production so striking. A flawless coin was rare. Most dies wore down. Most blanks were imperfect. Most strikes produced flaws. Yet this coin survived not only with flawless surfaces, but also with luster that burns like fire across copper. It gleams with an intensity collectors describe as blazing red, a technical term that refers to original mint red coloration preserved through decades without fading to brown. Such a color, in combination with immaculate surfaces, elevates the coin to legendary status. Now let us imagine. You as the collector, you are examining a 1956 wheat penny under magnification. Your heart races as you see the fine details, sharp edges, and no contact marks. Could this be the one? The very thought fuels the passion of millions who sift through jars, drawers, and rolls of pennies every day. The thrill of discovery keeps them searching the possibility that an ordinary coin could hold an extraordinary fortune. Suspense lingers in every examination. But rarity and perfection alone do not define this coin. Let us talk about errors and varieties. Numismatics thrives on them. Collectors crave doubled dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other anomalies. The 1956 wheat penny is known to have several such varieties. Some showing doubled lettering on Liberty or the date, some showing minor misstrikes that add rarity and drive values even higher. Experts know to look for these details because the difference between an ordinary penny and a multi-million-dollar specimen could be a single doubled die visible under magnification. This is why knowledge is power in numismatics. Without understanding the signs, one might unknowingly spend a fortune in pocket change. But with knowledge, a collector can unlock riches hidden in plain sight. And yet, even with varieties, perfection still rules the market. When PCGS or NGC awards a coin, the label MS67 ARD, meaning mint state, 67 red. It places the coin among the highest elite. Fewer than a handful exist in such condition, and when rarity meets demand, price has no ceiling. That is how the 1956 wheat penny stunned the world, with a $12 million sale. And where can such a coin be sold? Not in an ordinary shop, not in a street corner. Exchange the path to unlocking. Full value is through elite venues, heritage auctions, stacks, Bowers, Goldberg coins, or great collections. These are the stages where legends are born, where collectors with deep pockets battle fiercely, and where history is made. If you found such a coin, the process would be clear. First authenticate, then grade, then consign to an auction that can draw global attention, each step a climb toward the peak of value, each moment filled with anticipation and suspense. Now let us picture the life of this coin. Perhaps it was struck one ordinary morning in Denver or Philadelphia. Perhaps it slipped through the mint inspector unnoticed. Perhaps it was placed into a roll and then hidden away in a drawer for decades, untouched by circulation. Perhaps it was passed down through generations before someone finally recognized its brilliance, its fire, its rarity. And in that moment, history shifted. The coin transformed from pocket change to treasure. The $12 million 1956 wheat penny. Today it lives not as money, but as art, as history, as a legend. Collectors speak of it in hushed tones. They use terms like blazing luster, full red strike, rarity, provenance, all part of the language of numismatics. And through these words they elevate it beyond copper, beyond cent. It becomes a relic, a story, and a dream. But let us pause again and place the suspense squarely in your hands. Could you right now possess such a coin? What if a simple 1956 wheat penny lies forgotten among your belongings? What if all that stands between you and a fortune is recognition and action? That is the thrill of numismatics. That is the power of knowledge. And that is the mystery that drives millions to keep searching through jars, rolls, and old collections. Suspense builds because discovery is possible for anyone, perhaps even you. And as this chapter draws toward its close, we must prepare to climb higher still. For if the 1956 wheat penny commands $12 million, the next coin, the 1946 wheat penny, holds a story just as captivating, a $9 million legend born in the aftermath of World War II. A coin that carries history and scarcity in every detail. So do not look away. Stay with me until the very last second, because the secrets of the 1946 penny are about to unfold before we turn that page. Remember to like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and most importantly, subscribe to Profit Show, because every subscription fuels the journey into numismatic legends and keeps the suspense alive for each new discovery. The year is 1946. The world is still trembling from the echoes of World War II. Soldiers have returned home. Factories are shifting from weapons to consumer goods. Families are rebuilding, and America is entering a new chapter of history. Yet in the midst of all this change, a tiny coin, barely noticed by the millions who held it in their hands, was struck, the 1946 wheat penny. A coin that would travel across decades only to one day stand among the giants of numismatics, with a staggering value of $9 million. How could such a humble coin achieve such fortune? The story is not only about metal and minting. It is about survival history and the unrelenting passion of collectors who search tirelessly for treasures hidden in plain sight. Let us first look at the coin itself. It follows the classic wheat penny design, Lincoln solemn and noble on the obverse liberty, and the year 1946 carefully engraved beside him. In God We Trust, arched across the top, the reverse shows two wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, United States of America. Simple, elegant, and timeless. Its physical details mirror other wheat cents. It measures 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs 3.11 grams, and has a thickness of 1.5 millimeters. It was struck in a copper alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. What seems ordinary in every way is in truth extraordinary because of condition, rarity, and historical context. The war had only just ended in 1945. Resources were stretched. The mint was working to return to peacetime coinage, and yet quality control was not flawless. Coins struck that year often came with weak strikes, small die cracks, or inconsistencies, meaning that finding an example with razor-sharp details, blazing luster, and immaculate surfaces is nearly impossible. And it is this impossibility that makes the 1946 wheat penny such a legend. Numismatics thrives on rarity and grading. This is where companies like PCGs and NGC become the guardians of truth when a coin is examined, graded, and encapsulated. Its story is preserved forever. Most 1946 pennies you will encounter are worn, circulated, and barely worth more than face value. But when one emerges in gem, mint state MS67 or higher full red luster, intact, untouched by circulation, the market takes notice. Collectors become fierce bidders because they understand that such a specimen is not just rare. It is nearly unique. And uniqueness drives value beyond comprehension. The suspense deepens. As we imagine holding such a coin, you tilt it under the light. The blazing red color still burns across its copper fields. Decades have passed, yet the coin remains frozen in time. Flawless, untouched. You cannot help but wonder, how did this survive? Where was it hidden? What journey did it take through 70 years of history to remain immaculate? Perhaps it was sealed in a mint set. Perhaps it was tucked away in a collection. Perhaps it was forgotten in a bank vault until rediscovery. And now here it is, whispering secrets to the collector who holds it. $9 million locked within a single cent coin. Collectors use special terms to describe such marvels. They speak of strike sharpness, die, state luster, surface preservation, eye appeal, provenance. Each term adds another layer to the suspense because it tells us why this coin transcends the ordinary eye appeal. For instance, is the magic of beauty, the way a coin glows, the way it attracts the human eye. Some coins simply have a presence that others lack, and the 1946 wheat penny in gem condition carries that magnetism, that aura that forces a collector to want it at any price. Let us pause and ask, could you right now be in possession of such a coin? What if somewhere in your drawer sits a 1946 wheat penny passed down from a parent or grandparent? What if its surfaces gleam with original red color? What if hidden under decades of neglect is a treasure worth millions? The suspense of possibility is what keeps numismatics alive, because the line between ordinary and extraordinary is razor thin. The difference between pocket change and $9 million lies in details. Only the trained eye can see. This is why collectors trust grading services without PCGs or NGC certification. A seller may struggle to achieve full value. Buyers need trust. They need assurance. They need the guarantee of authenticity and grade. And once the coin is graded, the stage is set for sale. Heritage auction stacks, Bowers Goldberg coins. These are the arenas where fortunes are exchanged. These are the places where the hammer falls and legends are crowned. Now consider the historical backdrop. This coin was struck at a moment when America was healing from war, families were clutching ration books, jobs were returning, factories were roaring once again. And amid all this change, a few coins escaped into near perfection. Little copper discs that would one day bridge the gap between past and present. Collectors love coins not only for rarity, but for the story they tell. The 1946 wheat penny tells the story of resilience. It is a symbol of continuity, minted at a turning point in history and preserved against all odds. Perhaps this is why its value climbs into the millions. It is not just metal. It is memory locked in copper. Its survival carries suspense like a novel, with each page revealing new intrigue. The $9 million price tag is not only about condition. It is about emotion. Collectors bidding for this coin are not merely buying copper. They are buying connection to history. They are buying bragging rights. They are buying immortality, because to own such a piece is to hold a fragment of the past that few will ever touch. Now let us imagine the auction again. The room is silent. The coin gleams under the spotlight. Bidders hold their breath. The auctioneer calls out the opening price. Voices rise, tension builds. Millions fly across the room until the hammer strikes $9 million. And in that moment, the coin is transformed forever. It is no longer just a penny. It is a legend, a relic of history, elevated to the realm of treasure. Now, let us not forget the lessons hidden here. Coin grading matters, eye appeal matters, provenance matters. Understanding the language of numismatics matters. Terms like MS67, full red strike, double die off, center luster are not just words. They are keys to unlocking fortune. And so we return to the suspenseful question. Could you unknowingly possess a 1946 wheat penny of extraordinary value, perhaps hidden in a collection untouched by circulation? perhaps waiting in a roll of cents purchased long ago. The thrill is real. The possibility lingers, discovery awaits, and that is the magic of coin collecting. And so, as we close the chapter on the 1946 wheat penny valued at $9 million, we look ahead to the next legend, the 1955 wheat penny worth $3.4 million, a coin that holds its own mysteries and surprises, a story that builds upon what we have already uncovered. Before we dive into that tale, remember to like this video, share it with other coin enthusiasts, and most importantly, subscribe to Profit Show, because each subscription fuels the journey deeper into numismatic suspense and ensures you will never miss the next great discovery. The story now carries us into the year 1955, a time when America was in motion. Highways stretching across the nation, rock and roll beginning to echo through radios, and families dreaming of brighter futures amid this wave of change. The Denver Mint struck millions of wheat pennies, coins that seemed utterly ordinary to the men and women who held them. Yet history has revealed that among those countless coins, one stood apart, destined to one day claim the staggering value of $3.4 million, the 1955 wheat penny. A coin so small, so easily overlooked, and yet so rich in numismatic intrigue, that it now stands as a legend. Let us begin with the basics. This coin bears the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse with the word "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1955 with a small D mint mark just below to the right. "In God we trust" arches above. On the reverse, two graceful wheat stalks frame the bold words, "1 cent, United States of America, simple." Direct, iconic. Physically, the coin measures 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs 3.11 grams, and carries a thickness of about 1.5 millimeters. Its composition is the classic 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc, to most eyes nothing more than a common penny. And yet numismatics teaches us that fortune is born in the union of rarity, condition, and history. The 1955 wheat penny gains its place in legend, not because every example is rare, but because an extraordinarily small number survived in blazing gem condition, untouched, uncirculated, flawless coins, with original red luster radiating across the copper surface, coins that grading giants PCGS and NGC certify as mint state 66 or higher. These are the treasures that command millions and drive collectors into frenzied bidding wars. Let us imagine the suspense of discovery. Perhaps someone opens a roll of old wheat cents bought at a garage sale, and there, among the ordinary worn coins, lies a brilliant red specimen glowing like fire, untouched by circulation. The heart races. Could this be it? The mind calculates the possibility. What if this coin is one of those near-perfect survivors? What if this penny, hidden for decades, is worth $3.4 million? It is this question, this chance, this razor-thin line between ordinary and extraordinary, that keeps numismatics alive and thrilling. Collectors know that grading matters. They understand the difference between a coin graded Mrs. 64 and one graded Mrs. 66 can mean millions of dollars. Eye appeal is everything. Strike sharpness is everything. Luster is everything. And the 1955 wheat penny embodies the perfect balance of these traits. Now we must explore varieties, because numismatics thrives not only on condition but on anomalies. The year 1955 is most famous for the Philadelphia double die, obverse, one of the most iconic errors in history. But even at the Denver Mint, subtle varieties occurred. Repunched mint marks, slight die cracks, small errors that add layers of intrigue. While the Philadelphia doubled die commands headlines, the Denver issue still holds secrets. Collectors who hunt for repunched mint marks on the 1955 know that these details can raise value dramatically, especially when combined with blazing red surfaces and pristine condition. And so the suspense deepens, because every 1955 penny examined could be the one hiding an error or variety, elevating it beyond the ordinary. When we speak of selling such a coin, we cannot imagine pawning it or exchanging it casually. The true stage for such a masterpiece lies in the great auction houses, heritage auctions, Stack's, Bowers, Goldberg coins. These are the battlefields, where millionaires and billionaires compete for history, where the hammer falls and fortunes exchange hands. If you were to find such a coin, the path is clear. Submit it first to PCGS or NGC for certification and grading. Once encapsulated, its value is secured, its identity protected, and from there the coin can walk onto the global stage, where collectors will fight fiercely to own it. Now, let us step into the imagination picture. The life of this coin perhaps struck one morning in the Denver. Mint pressed by polished dies, it may have slid into a fresh roll untouched. Perhaps it was stored away in a bank box untouched through decades. Perhaps it passed through a single hand and then vanished into a collection until rediscovery. How many hands never realized its destiny? How many eyes never recognized its perfection? Yet it survived against all odds to one day rise as a $3.4 million treasure. Its story is a testament to patience, survival, and fate. Collectors speak of such coins with reverence, using the language of numismatics: luster, red-brown, strike full red. Pennies 67 gem. They understand that these are not just descriptors, they are codes unlocking fortune and legacy. Every coin tells a story, but the 1955 D wheat penny tells one of overlooked greatness, while the Philadelphia double die grabbed headlines. The Denver issue quietly held its secrets. And only later did the world realize that hidden among the millions were a few extraordinary survivors. Coins destined for legend. Imagine standing at an auction as the 1955 D penny gleams under the spotlight. Bidders raise paddles. The price climbs the air, thick with anticipation. The suspense unbearable until the hammer falls. $3.4 million. Exchanged for a penny smaller than a thumbnail. In that moment, the coin becomes more than metal. It becomes immortality. It becomes legend. It becomes proof that treasure hides in the simplest of places. Now let us pause and ask the question that lingers. Could you possess such a coin? Could a roll of wheat pennies in your drawer hide a blazing red 1955 D survivor worth millions? What if you looked closely under magnification? What if you found the brilliance, the perfection, the rarity? The suspense is not just in the story. It is in your hands, because discovery is possible for anyone with patience, knowledge, and luck. Numismatics is not only about history, it is about hope and suspense. The thrill that every coin you hold could be the one. Now, as we close this chapter and step forward into the final stage of our journey, the climax awaits: the 1951 wheat penny, a coin that eclipses them all, a humble cent, elevated to an astronomical value of $18 million, the greatest of the 5 legends, the crown jewel that will seal this saga of copper history and fortune. Before we reveal that treasure, remember to like this video, share it with other coin enthusiasts, and most importantly, subscribe to Profit Show, because here, every coin tells a story. Every story builds suspense, and every suspenseful tale brings us closer to discovering fortune hidden in plain sight. Here we are standing at the climax of our journey through the rarest wheat pennies ever discovered, and the story of the 1951 1-cent wheat penny is the one that truly leaves collectors breathless. Imagine a coin that most people believe to be common, ordinary change, something that sat for decades in pockets, purses, and coin jars. A penny most would never look at twice yet. Hidden within this date lies a specimen so rare, so immaculate, so untouched by time that its value today stands at an astonishing $18 million. Yes, you heard correctly. $18 million for a single wheat penny. And what makes this tale even more extraordinary is that it begins with what seems like the most ordinary of coins struck in the post-war years, when America was booming, when industry was thriving, and when countless wheat pennies were struck at the United States Mint during that year. But among the billions, only a few emerged with qualities so perfect and with circumstances so unique that they would ascend to legendary status in the world of numismatics. Collectors whisper about this coin as if it were a myth, and yet its existence is very real, authenticated and graded by the most trusted authorities like PCGS and NGC, professional grading services that ensure a coin is genuine and place it on the grading scale from poor to mint state gem and beyond. And when a 1951 wheat penny appears at the highest levels of grading, mint state 65 or higher especially, with full red surfaces untouched by circulation, its story transforms from copper to treasure. Every single detail matters: the diameter of 19 millimeters, the thickness of just 1.5 millimeters, the weight of 3.11 grams. Details so small that most people would ignore them. And yet in the world of collecting, these are sacred specifications. The heartbeat of the coin, the DNA that proves its identity and value. Condition is king here. And it is condition that separates a common penny worth 1 cent from a numismatic jewel worth $18 million. Collectors chase this coin for its luster, that original fiery copper red shine that time usually steals away, for its strike, that crisp impression of Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse, free from weakness and wear, for its originality, the guarantee that it has not been altered, cleaned, or damaged, because the moment a coin is cleaned, its value plummets in the numismatic world. And here lies the magic of grading. When a 1951 wheat penny reaches the grade certified by PCGS and NGC, it gains entry into an elite club of coins. A club where millionaires battle in secret auctions to own what few can even dream of having. These auctions, often held at prestigious houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, bring out the fiercest competition. Bidding wars erupt as collectors push the price higher and higher, driven by passion, history, and the knowledge that such coins almost never appear again on the open market. The suspense is not just in the bidding, but in the waiting for discovery. Because who knows, another 1951 wheat penny of this caliber may still be hiding quietly in someone's attic in a forgotten coin album in a jar passed down through generations. And if you are listening now and checking your change drawer, know this: it is possible, however rare, that you may be holding the next multi-million-dollar coin. The key lies in knowledge and patience. Examine the coin carefully, understand the language of numismatics terms, like mint state, full red proof, like surfaces and population reports become your guide. Seek out authentication through professional graders. Never trust mere guesses, because only PCGs and NGC certification can turn curiosity into confidence when it comes to selling such treasures. The path is equally critical. Do not rush, do not list such a coin casually online. Instead, consult with major auction houses, numismatic experts, and professional dealers who understand both the value and the clientele willing to pay such astronomical sums. The right sale in the right room can mean the difference between thousands and millions. Suspense hangs in the air every time such a coin appears, because collectors know they may never see another one like it in their lifetime, and that scarcity drives the price to heights unimaginable. We must also remember that these coins are not just investments. They are pieces of history. Minted in 1951 during a time when America was shaping the post-war world, when pennies were a symbol of daily commerce, and when few could imagine that these tiny copper discs would one day hold such staggering value. They are artifacts that connect us to the past while carrying the promise of wealth in the present. And as we close this journey, think of the power of these 5 coins together. The 1953 D valued at 5.7 million, the 1956 at 12 million, the 1946 at 9 million, the 1955 D at 3.4 million, and finally the 1951 at $18 million. Together, a staggering fortune hidden in simple pennies that once jingled in pockets today. You know the truth. These coins represent not only money but also passion, patience, and the art of collecting. And perhaps the greatest suspense of all is this: how many more of these treasures are still out there waiting to be found? So take a moment right now to look closer at the change in your drawer. The coins in your family album, because history has shown us again and again that great discoveries happen when least expected. And if you want to stay ahead in this hunt, to learn more about rare coins and their million-dollar secrets, then you must subscribe to Profit Show, because every week we uncover stories of hidden treasures that could change your life forever. Like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and comment below. Which of these coins shocked you the most? Was it the 5.7 million penny or the $18 million legend? Your thoughts could spark the next great conversation in the numismatic world. The journey of the wheat pennies may end here, but the world of coins stretches endlessly forward, filled with mystery, suspense, and opportunity. So stay curious, stay passionate, and stay with us on Profit Show, where the smallest coin can lead to the biggest fortune.